Let's start with the kind of basic stuff. Warren, where exactly? I know you're in Southeast Asia. Where exactly are you located right now?
I'm in Bangkok, in central Bangkok. It's an area called Sukhumvit, which is an area really full of a lot of tourists, a lot of activity. It's a beautiful area. High rises, high rise hotels, high rise office buildings, right in the center of the city.
I mean, with midday today, so midday Friday is when an earthquake shook pretty strong in the area. What was how did you find out about it? What was your impact felt in where you were at?
Every day I go out in the afternoon and there's a park right next to a mall, and I go out and I exercise and I walk in the park, and I just had gotten finished. I decided to walk into a mall. I have a favorite pastry shop there, and I went in and I was standing at the counter, and all of a sudden, I got real dizzy, and I noticed the room or the building was swaying, and it got me so disoriented. I went down to my knees because I thought I was going to faint. And then all of a sudden, panic, because the mall was full of lunch hour visitors, people running and screaming and trying to get out of the building. I actually thought, Zach, there was a mass shooting, although I didn't hear any gunfire, but that's my first initial thought was that. But then I realized what had taken place because I could feel it. I saw the building move, and then I understood what was going on. And then once I was able to regain my equilibrium, um, I stood up and I noticed still panic. And some of the people there were actually, and I hate to say this, were pushing some of the elderly folks down. And so I got up and went over to help some elderly folks and walked them out of the building. I went back into the building to see if there were any more. It was just sheer pandemonium.
Well, you spoke about kind of going through the process. You're thinking mass shooting. You're noticing something. What dawned on you? What was the moment that made you notice? Oh, this is exactly what's happening here.
So um, once I was able to stand up, it dawned on me what had happened because I thought I was just going to faint from exercising. But I realized I grew up in Southern California. I'd been through earthquakes, nothing like today, like a 7.7. So it was that moment I realized, oh, that's what it was. And then with the people running, I got the feeling that people here in this part of the world are not used to large earthquakes like that. And I was correct because you went outside and people had no idea what to do. The streets were flooded. You couldn't move. I mean, this is a city of 17 million people, and it was right in the middle of the afternoon, as you mentioned, on a Friday. It was lunch hour. It was absolute chaos. In fact, um, there is a transit system here that runs through the city. It's called the BTS, the Bangkok Transit System, and it's an above ground sky train, and it's still closed as of right now. And right now, I think it's about 9:30 p.m. here, and it's still closed.
Did you feel any aftershocks after that first major 7 point whatever that major shake? Did you feel any aftershocks afterward?
I did. Again, I was still in the process of trying to help people and then get myself out, and um, the one thing about having your phone handy is you can Google, and the AP had put up a news story. I mean, like immediately what had happened. So that was my confirmation of what happened. Um, but once I saw that, I realized that um, when I went outside, you could see all these people streaming out of all these high rises, all these hotels. You can imagine how many people were in the street. It was really something. Like I said, I'd been through earthquakes before, so I didn't panic at all. That's just kind of my nature. I didn't. But a lot of people did. They were screaming and yelling and crying and just running and on their phones trying to find family members. It was something.
In the headlines of this story, there's talk of one building that was under construction which had collapsed. Did you notice any sort of infrastructure damage, things of that nature?
So when I got back to my the room that I'm renting here, and I sent you a photo of this, um, just outside of my area, there's another high rise going up, and I noticed on the side of the building, it towards the top, it had collapsed in. You can see how it shifted. I'm surprised it stood. It withstood um, this massive groundswell of movement. Um, I also saw, here in Thailand, here in Bangkok, there hotels have their pools way above ground on some of the upper floors. They don't want to give that space to pools on the lower levels. So you could see water streaming over the tops of these buildings from the swaying of the earthquake. Water out of these pools just pouring out over the sides of these buildings. It was really a sight to behold. It was, again, I keep saying it, it was something.
You talked about, kind of some panic happening in the immediate aftermath of the shake. You said it's about 9:30 now, so a few hours removed. Have things settled down for the most part in the area?
Yeah, I just went outside a little while ago just to look for myself. The streets are calm. There's still traffic, but the streets are calm. It looks like it's back to normal. But I'm told that um, local geological services will be out overnight tonight, checking on the SkyTrain. There's also an underground subway system. I'm told that they're going to look at to make sure that those rail systems are safe because, again, there's 17 million people in these cities, and at the time that this happened, um, and later in the afternoon, they're at the height of their use. There's a lot of people that use both of those rail systems, so they want to make sure they're safe. Um, Motorcycles are a big thing here. Motorcycle taxis, those are what's mostly on the streets right now. People need to get home from work for the day, so they're jumping on motorcycle taxis so they can get through the vehicles. After this happened, once I realized what had happened and I made my way back to where I stay, um, it was gridlock. I mean, nobody was moving anywhere. People were standing in the middle of these streets. Cars were stacked up on top of each other. Um, there were a couple of accidents that I saw, but finally here we are. 7, 8 hours later, and it's calm now in the city.
I think to wrap up, are you leaving anytime soon? Is this interrupting your travel plans at all, or are you in a spot where you're kind of able to sit and reassess and take time before having to travel?
It's funny you mentioned that because I leave in a week. I'm headed back to Eugene in a week. So I can only imagine if my flight was today, what would have happened. The local big airport here, the international airport, was shut down for a while. Um, there was there's a lot of infrastructure here, like you'd expect in any major city, but Bangkok is unusual because it is so wildly spread out. I grew up in Los Angeles, and Bangkok is double the size of Los Angeles. So, as you can imagine, there's a lot of things that can go wrong here with all the people, all the traffic, all the infrastructure, the high rises, the hotels. I mean, it affected a lot of people. And I'd like to, just say this: this quake happened in Myanmar, which is about 600 miles away. And if you've seen video, there's a lot of devastation there. It affected Bangkok 600 miles away, and it was massive at 7.7. So it wasn't just a little tremor, it was a major, major earthquake. And it was only 10 miles underground here. So crazy day.
Yeah, no kidding. Chaotic, chaotic. Hopefully, it can smooth out and you can enjoy the rest of your week there. Is there anything else that we're missing that you'd like to add, Warren, or did we about cover it?
Um, I sent you some video. The video I sent is just after I got outside of the building, and it shows all the people streaming out on the road. So I don't know if you can use that, but I sent photos. I sent you a photo of the building that I was in. I sent video of the park where, I mean, there must have been tens of thousands of people in this park
Wow.
because there was nothing overhead. It was dark. Um, so I don't know if you can use any of that.
I think I
Do you
will.
want
Yeah,
to?
I've taken a gander at most of them, so I think I can download them off Facebook and get those used. So I appreciate that a lot.
Okay. And yeah, if you need anything else, just let me know.
Will do, Warren. Safe travels.
I will.
Keep yourself safe out there. We'll see you back in town in a little bit.